That's called an iPad?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've never seen one like that before.
It's the case.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay. I have my questions written down.
Okay. Where did you get your questions?
I did some research, and then I also just, my brain.
You have that, huh?
Yeah.
And you use it.
Yeah. Sometimes. I tried it. Okay. I mean, there's not necessarily an order to this, so I guess let's go with what are you thankful for?
Oh my God. I'm thankful for the good health, the long life, my wonderful family, and the fact that I don't have to be concerned about, where my next meal is coming from.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm thankful for all of these things.
Yep. And how often do you think about, like, how grateful you are for those things?
I don't think about it very often, frankly. I just, may fleetingly think, oh, I'm lucky. I'm
Yeah.
lucky to be here. I'm lucky for the good life that I lead, And I'm lucky that I'm in good shape for
Yeah.
my age.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, and how.
I know.
I agree. So one thing this summer I've been trying to implement into my life is being thankful. Just including the act of being thankful into my day.
Yeah.
So that, it leads, I've read, it leads to happiness, and I've seen it so far. And so I started with a gratitude journal, and, you like write down like something you're thankful
really?
for. Yeah, each day.
You do that every day?
Yeah, and then recently what I've noticed is I've stopped journaling as much, but the act of being thankful each day is like
it comes automatically.
exactly. So like
that's what happens.
yeah. Yep. So that's definitely
it's like training. You're being trained to do it
exactly
automatically, and you don't have to even think about it.
Exactly.
Terrific.
All right. What is your dream for your children, and then what is your dream for your grandchildren?
For my children, well, for my children, my dream is that they continue with good health, that they take care of themselves, and that they're reasonably happy, content, and enjoy their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my grandchildren, well, I wish them the very best. I think of them because they're younger, to pursue their dreams, whatever they may be, and to lead a good life and a prosperous life.
Mm-hmm.
We all want that. We all want the middle class to continue. And I think under our circumstances, being middle class like we are, we have a very good chance of that continuing to occur.
Yeah. And I almost forgot to ask, what about your great-grandchild and almost children?
Yeah, well, but they're healthy.
Yeah.
And they grow up to be good people, Which, knowing their parents, and their circumstances, I think, there's a very good chance of that, yeah. I worry less about, a 2-year-old than I do. I don't worry about you kids, but, I'm more are more involved with you because you're human beings that have grown up now and you're into, you know, the prospects of jobs or furthering your education.
Right.
So, you know, that makes a difference. That
Yeah.
makes a difference, yeah.
And I guess just like off the cuff, like could you describe kind of what that feeling was like finding out that you were gonna have a great grandchild?
Oh
Because
my
not,
God.
you know, it's
My
very
first
rare.
reaction was finally, because all my friends have great
Oh,
grandchildren.
they do.
Oh yeah,
Really?
and they're younger than I am.
That surprises me.
Yeah, much younger than I am, and they're in their 80s, and they have great grandchildren, and I didn't have any. So when I finally got one, I said, "Wow, I finally made
It's
it."
a big win.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Okay. What was it like during the Great Depression, if you remember?
Wow, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, the Great Depression was very much a part of my early childhood. The Great Depression, well, my parents were immigrants. They were uneducated. They couldn't work. And you know, the Great Depression, my grandparents came from, actually from Greece. They were refugees from Turkey because Turkey and Greece had an exchange program, an ethnic exchange program, right after World War One. So my grandparents, who were really Turkish residents, and I don't know if they were citizens at that time, but they went to Greece and they lived in Salonika. So during the Great Depression, my father had them, he arranged for them to come to this country, and they lived with us.
Mm-hmm.
And we were 6 people in a 2-bedroom apartment with 1 bathroom.
Wow.
So that was...
Who, out of the 6, who used the bathroom the most? Who spent the most time in the bathroom?
Oh, I don't know. I can't really remember. I was just a little kid at that time, and my brother was a newborn. Yeah. Maybe my grandparents, because they were older. But, you know, you had to knock on the door, make sure that there was no one in there before you walked in, you know. And it was hard times. They were definitely hard times. But you know what, Xander? We always had food on the table.
Wow.
You know, we didn't have filet mignon or anything like that. We were lucky. We had chicken once a week.
Wow.
And at that time, fish was inexpensive.
Okay.
So, and my family had a lot of fish. They were, you know, they came from a sea village.
Yeah.
So we had fish and chicken and eggs. And my grandmother used to cook. My mother used to cook. And my grandfather, what he did was, you know, we lived in these taxpayer blocks of apartments where they had 2 stories above retail stores, and they were all attached.
Mm-hmm.
And they had basements, and the basements had these iron open things, and you probably have seen them in the cities where they open them and then you go down to the basement from the outside.
Yeah.
Well, my grandfather, to help with the money situation, he would, at 5 o'clock in the morning, get up every morning and stoke the coal furnaces. There was no gas in those days. It was just coal. And my mother and my grandmother, what they used to do is they used to do this hand sewing work. They would get like, this would be like a pattern. And then what they would do, they would sew by hand. They would embroider it and color it, and so on. And then they sell them, or give them back to their boss, and they'd get paid. And I remember we didn't have money for a sofa,
Right.
but what my father did is he got the wooden crates from the fruit and vegetable stores, wooden crates that oranges came in, grapefruits, and he made a little couch. And my grandmother, to make a mattress, took rags, material, sewed them together, made the cover for a mattress, and stuffed it. Well, I don't know what you call it. The straw that they pack fruit in. I don't know if they still do that. It's like shred.
Hay?
It's like hay, yeah, shredded, And she stuffed it with that, covered it, and that made like a little mattress for this little. It wasn't big. It was probably about this big, about 5 or 6 feet long. And we had it in the kitchen, and she used to sit there and, work the, this hand sewn things that she made. And what these were like lace collars that they used to put on dresses and sweaters and cuffs, And that's what they did, but we survived.
Sounds like you guys as a family were very resourceful.
Well, you had to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of being human. When you have to do something, you find a way to do it,
Yeah.
That's the way we are.
So, did you mention what your dad did during the Great Depression? In terms of income?
He was a machinist, mechanic type. And during the Depression, I know, he and 2 or 3 other men were partners in the machine shop. And they used to do piecework for bigger companies that needed their machinery to be sharpened or to be fixed, and that's what they did. And during the Depression, the other partners opted out. There was no work anyway.
Yeah.
My father was left alone for a while. He held on as long as he could, and then that was the end of it. There was just no work. So that was the end of working. And I don't remember if there was unemployment insurance in those days. In the 30s?
I want to say that FDR instituted as a result of the Depression.
Oh, so anyway,
and some of those programs,
he came in.
But I'm rusty on my history.
Yeah, he came in around 32, didn't he? I think so. I think it was a big time and a big celebration in my household and the other Greeks. They were very happy that he became president. He was like a god to us. We really looked up to him. Yeah.
It's very different from how a president's perceived nowadays, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, when you're in that economic situation where you don't have money and you're thankful for the little things that you have, the food on the table, that was the most important thing. You look upon your your leaders as almost godlike figures, king-like figures, you know? Yeah, those were very hard times. But, you know, things change.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had a Great Depression like that in all these years, and that's great. That's almost like 100 years ago. We've had our ups and downs. You know, like right now we have inflation, which is skyrocketing.
Yep.
But I understand it's leveled off a bit. So that's good.
So, from having the Great Depression and the impact of that at such a young age, back to the whole theme of gratitude, were you somehow able to
well, you know,
appreciate
you never
everything?
get over that.
Yeah.
You never really get over that. And I learned to be very frugal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't spend a lot of money, you know. And I guess that's good. I think it's wonderful to be able to live within your means, you know, and not spend more than what you can. So I've never been that type of consumer.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoy what I have, and I don't expect much.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just content to be able to do what I can, to certainly have enough money to live on. This is a very expensive apartment,
Mm-hmm.
but you know what? I can afford it.
Yeah.
And that's great. And who knew when I was growing up in the Depression that I would be able to have a lovely apartment like this.
What would be your mom's reaction to your current situation, current living situation?
My mom's reaction, that's a good question. Oh, she probably would be very pleased. She probably would be very pleased. Trying to think of my father. My father would be absolutely pleased. You know, why wouldn't they be? They came from such a poor background, immigrants, no education, and here I am. Well, I did educate myself. That's another story. They would be pleased. No two ways about it.
I'm just gonna make sure it's still recording.
What?
It is. Cool. Do you need some water?
Do you want water?
I'm gonna get some water. Do you need some water?
Okay. Right next to the refrigerator, up above the cupboard, are glasses, and in the refrigerator on the door is a little button. You press that, put the glass underneath, and get a big glass if you want a big glass. You know, I think
I'll treat myself to a big glass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want water though?
You know what? I think I will have some,
Okay.
but I just want a little bit.
Okay. Should I use this glass right here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Also, on a side note,
You want something with it?
no, I'm okay.
On the left, on
Yep,
the left,
yep.
right there.
On a side note, my parents want to know where you want to go to dinner tomorrow night.
Oh. Yeah, that's still on, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Where I want to go? Gosh. Well, I was just at Thavma. I know that's a place they like to take me to. It kind of works for them, and it's convenient when they pick me up. What's the weather like for tomorrow?
I think it's going to be nice.
you want to go?
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know. I don't have like a particular interest.
You know, I haven't been to a Chinese place or a Mexican Spanish place in a long time. So,
Yeah,
you know,
we can make that work.
yeah, so if they want to do something like that, that would be great. Italian we do a lot.
Yeah, we do.
Is tomorrow a special occasion?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, the only thing is, I'm not gonna be able to go out with my friends. Saturday night, we usually go out to dinner, but that's okay. I'd rather be with my family.
Well, that's very sweet.
Well, I don't get a chance to see you guys that often,
Yeah.
you know, so it really is special when I do get that chance to be with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a treat for us too.
Oh, well, that's sweet. That's sweet.
All right. This is a funny one. Did you ever get caught doing something wrong? And
Oh,
if so,
all the time.
What was it?
Well, after I got my license, my driver's license,
Yeah.
my family, I took the family car with permission, and I went driving, and we went to the estate country on Long Island, just to see what it was like to go along these long tree-lined roads leading into estates, you know. And the road in the estate was one lane. And we're going up, I was driving with my friends, and we're going up this private road in the estate, and we hear dogs barking as we're approaching. So I said, uh-oh, we have to turn around.
Yeah.
Now, it's a one road, and it's an embankment on both sides, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to make a turnaround,
Yeah, like a K turn,
like a what?
like a 7-point turn, K point.
Whatever
Yeah.
it is, but, you know, 7 points was a lot for that narrow road.
Yeah.
And as I back up, my car starts to go down the embankment, and I had a rough time getting out. I had
And
a rough time getting.
this car was probably not the most,
Oh.
not like any car we have today, right?
Maybe it was a 38 Pontiac.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I finally got out. But that was so scary.
Mm-hmm.
So scary. And that was a biggie. Now, what else did I do? What was your question?
It was, did you ever do anything wrong?
Yeah, oh, lots. Uh, I'm trying to think of, you know, when I was in junior high or high school, what I did, what was wrong. Oh, I know what I did. When I was in junior high school, I lived a long distance from the school, no bus, no transportation, and I had to walk. And I would take my books. You know, I can't remember whether we had a backpack. I can't remember whether it was backpack or whether it was just a school bag. I think
Yeah.
it was a backpack. So rather than take my books every day and have to go back and forth with my books, if I didn't need them for homework that night, I wanted to leave them in the classroom.
Yeah.
And we had a coat closet, you know, with sliding doors. And I started, you're not allowed to have anything there overnight, and so you had to take everything home. But I started to leave books there that I didn't need for homework that night, and I got caught.
Right.
I got caught. And my father had to take off from work. And at that point, he was working at a machinery company.
Yeah.
They were making defense parts for the upcoming war.
Mm.
And he had to take off from work, and that was a biggie.
Yeah.
Because if you took off from work, you didn't get paid.
Right.
And he had to come up to school. And, yeah. So that was a big ordeal. So I never forgot that, too.
What was the lesson there?
What?
What was the lesson you took away from that experience?
No. You shouldn't get caught. No. You just don't do it, you know? When your father has to take off from work and he's not paid, boy, you don't do things that you shouldn't do, you know? So that was pretty good. I was pretty good after that.
Let me. Do you remember where you guys were during the I Have a Dream speech, and what was your and everybody you were with reaction to it?
Oh, I don't remember where I was, but I remember a little bit about his speech. Yeah, it was very inspiring. Very inspiring. He was that kind of person. I think he inspired everybody around him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then what about your guys' reaction to the assassination of MLK and JFK?
Of who?
MLK and then JFK.
Oh, McKay. Who was?
No, MLK and JFK.
Oh, MLK and JFK.
Yeah.
What was my reaction?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, like I said, they were such well, they were people of their times, you know, of the black situation and bettering their lives. That was very important. And JFK, gee, he was such a young, good-looking president. My impression was that he was a good president. I don't remember too much about what he did in terms of his accomplishments. Do you?
I don't remember at the moment.
No, I just don't remember that much.
I think he was the president during the Cold War.
Oh,
does that ring a bell?
That was a scary time.
Yeah.
We didn't know what was going to happen, you know, whether we'd have a war with them, whether it would start another world war, you know?
Yeah.
It was a scary time. But we got over it.
Okay, what kind of inventions do you think are the best ones during your lifetime?
During my lifetime, inventions. Well, the plane was here. The automobile was here. What inventions? Well, maybe things like, you know, the little appliances that we have in the house, like the automatic washing machines rather than the washing machines. Yeah, that's one of them. Dryers.
Yeah.
Things like electric can openers, uh, the electric juice makers. I guess a lot of things with electricity.
Mm-hmm.
TVs were around. But TVs, I think, came about when I was young.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's during my lifetime. That's been a big asset to society because you can get your news, you can get programs, you don't have to go to the movies, you know, you can get movies online or on TV. What else?
If there was one invention during your lifetime that you could kind of just implant into your
You know
Great
what
Depression.
came about? The telephone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We got a telephone when I was growing up. We got a telephone when I started working because when I graduated from high school, I went to work and I said, you know, my friends had phones, their families had phones, but we didn't. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put part of my salary into a phone.
Mm.
And we got a phone system.
So if there's one technological advancement or invention that you could,
I think that's one of the big ones.
Well, no, I'm saying that you could implant into your Great Depression department where you six were living in that 2-bedroom. Which do you think would be the most beneficial?
Invention?
Yeah, something, you know, some technological, you know, you mentioned the electric can opener, the washer. If there's one that stands out that would benefit that apartment particularly.
Going back to that apartment. Well, I guess an automatic washing machine and a dryer.
Yeah.
Because we had to open the window. We lived on the second floor in my later years. Like, we moved around the corner from where we lived into a 2-family house, and we lived upstairs. But in order to dry the clothes, we had to bring the washed clothes, and they were heavy being washed, you know. We had a clothesline from a pole in the backyard to our window outside. We had to hang up everything, you know, and dry them.
Mm.
Yeah. So the dryer was a big boost.
Yeah, that would have been very practical, and time is money.
Right.
So. All right, let's see what else we got here. Would you say you prioritized? Would you say you prioritized happiness in your life, and if so, how?
Do I prioritize? I don't think of happiness. To me, that's a contentment.
Yeah.
Is a better word for me. Uh, yeah, contentment. And how do I figure it?
How do you prioritize contentment?
Oh, prioritize. First of all, good health.
Uh-huh.
To me, that's the most important. Um, and secondly, having enough to live on. Not, I don't demand a lot, but having enough, being comfortable so that I don't have to be concerned about my finances.
Yeah.
And I think I'm very keen on that because having gone through the depression, you know, you're much more aware of that. I don't know, I don't think my children are, and I don't think you are, because I think you're in a different situation today where you're middle class, you expect to be middle class, you don't expect to go into poverty.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's not part of your being. It certainly was very part of my father's being an immigrant and going through the depression. That was very important.
So, I mean, the priority of good health, you mentioned for this question, you also mentioned it when we were talking about Elle and your grandchildren, and how did you prioritize your good health? Because I kind of know, but
how do I prioritize?
No, yeah, like didn't you go to the gym every morning for a long time? Like, can you take me through that routine and the benefits of that?
Yeah. Well, you know, I remember my father in the kitchen. The kitchen was about this wide, you know, the dining room, and longer, maybe up to there. And I remember my father going like this, you know, and squatting,
Yeah.
you know, and doing this. And I remember him walking outdoors all the time. So I kind of got a sense of exercise from him, the routine of keeping fit. And then I just continued, you know. In the early years when I got married, I didn't belong to a gym or anything. I was raising kids. We couldn't really afford it then. But I remember taking walks. I remember when the kids were little, I would walk out with the baby carriage with Carol was an infant in Brooklyn. That was a form of exercise. It was also a form of getting fresh air, you know, with me and the baby. And then eventually I joined a gym on Long Island, and I used to go regularly for classes and, you know, working on the treadmill. So I was always into exercise. That was an important part of my life.
Yeah. Do you remember any particular family member who you used to adore and love spending time with?
Well, not any particular member, but in terms of families. I remember as a child, we used to go to my mother's family. Let's see, it would have been my mother's uncle and aunt had 5 children, and 4 of them were boys, and one of them was a girl. The youngest one was a girl. I used to love to go to that family. Why? Because there was so much going on with the boys and my cousin Aphrodite by name. And I used to love going there because going there was like going out to a restaurant. It was a big kitchen table, everybody sat around. You know, my Aunt Mary cooked and everybody ate, and we ate well. And my great uncle always used to tell stories. And he was, of course, from Turkey too. And he worked on the ships. He traveled on the ships before he was married. So he always used to tell us stories about where he went. In fact, I remember his having a collection of different artifacts and statues from different parts of the world. You know, he collected them, and I remember them on my aunt's table and in their living room. And you know, that was very nice. Yeah. Big stories.
And what was his name? Great uncle?
Paul.
Paul?
Yeah. Paul Kapkanis. He was my grandmother's brother. My maternal grandmother's brother. I never knew my father's parents, but these were my mother's family. So, you know, that was very good.
So, how do you deal with stress?
I try not to have it. And you know, at this stage of my life I really don't have stress. I mean, the stress that I feel is when I have an appointment, I want to make sure that I'm there, or a doctor's appointment, or if I'm going out to dinner, I want to make sure that I'm ready for it, and I want to make sure that my credit card is in my pocketbook so that when I pay for dinner, I have it. You know, whatever stress
Those
is.
are all good stressors, right?
Yeah, but other than that, I don't have to stress financial stress.
Yeah.
You know, that's very important, especially for my background and depression. So that's a good thing.
So, I guess in the past, how have you dealt with stress?
In the past, when did I have stress? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'm just gonna check.
Trying to think of stress. Well, let's say when I was going to school and I went back to school, to college, after I got married. And the stress of having to finish a book before I had to write a paper, or writing a paper, that was stressful because I had a family to take care of, and I had to juggle time that I had to devote to the children and, you know, and to my schoolwork.
Yep.
So I found that a little stressful. And I must say, your grandfather was helpful in that too.
Mhm.
He helped me take care of the children when I had to do the schoolwork that I had.
So, I mean, you have a big family. You have lots of friends. How, like, when other people have their own stress, how have you been able to, like, maintain your center and, you know, not let other people's stress become your own stress? Perhaps it's a little different now that you live alone, but
Yeah.
and you know, try to think back to like maybe when you had Carol and Mark in the house, um,
And I had stress.
or even at the bingo table, if someone brings on stress to you, how do you maintain your center and offer help that way?
I don't have stress at the bingo, believe me. Or at Mahjong. How do I deal with stress? Or other people's stress?
Yeah.
Well, I try, I'm empathetic to their stress. I don't have to deal with their stress. That's their stress.
Yep.
What I have to do, and what I do, is I try to be supportive
Mm-hmm.
of their stress, and understand them and let them know that if they need me for anything, I'm there for them. But mostly, their stress is their stress, and if I can show that I understand their stress, I think that's all they need from me,
Yeah.
really.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the earliest memory that you have?
Oh, the earliest memory.
Yep.
Earliest memory. I think maybe when my brother was born. I was 4 years old. I remember this little baby coming into the house. And that's when my grandparents came to live with us when he was born. So there was a lot going on, new people in the household, my grandparents, plus a new baby. That's the earliest memory I think I remember.
And what's an important lesson that you remember your parents teaching you?
Oh, important lesson. Well, how to be frugal, not to be a spendthrift. My father was always into eating healthy, what it meant in those days, which is different what it means today. So that was something that I learned and appreciate. These are things you can use today. You adapt to the new way of thinking, of eating healthy, but that stream of thinking is with you. So those are things that I appreciate.
And then kind of a different subject, but favorite place or city that you visited?
Oh, favorite?
Yeah.
like Istanbul.
Mm.
Um, because it was part of my family heritage,
Yep.
you know. So I really appreciated that. And I appreciated Athens too because of the Greek history and all that I saw there. So I can maybe those two places. It's interesting because they're both from where my parents came
Yeah.
from, you know. I love Paris. I love walking the streets of Paris. That was a lot of fun.
And when did you do these travels?
Oh, that's hard for me to remember. I know I went to Turkey and Greece the first time with my husband. And then I went back to Greece later when I was single, you know, after I was divorced.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a very good Greek American friend that I met in this country when I was working in an office. One of my first jobs after high school, I worked for an insurance broker, and I met her, and on one of my subsequent trips to Greece, I visited her because she had moved to Greece. She was a Greek American like me, had married a Greek from Greece in New York City, and then when she got divorced, she moved to Greece. So I visited her and stayed with her in her apartment. In fact, I'm still in touch with her. I spoke to her recently.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. She's my age, exactly my age. So.
So I think I just really have one more. Well, a few more.
Okay.
What is something that you would still like to learn?
Something that I still want to learn. Well, I know nothing about the tech world. Nothing. So that might be fun. I always like take courses and learn from experts. We get lecturers coming into certain programs we have here and learn about what's going on in the world from their perspective and a particular perspective